Good morning and welcome back to BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today we're discussing the recent SEEFF and FIATA Congress that took place in Bucharest. Joining me this morning is my colleague Pawel, who was at the event to tell us some more information about what was on the agenda. Good morning, Pawel.
Good morning, Ursula.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So we're here to talk about the recent Congress between the two organisations. Can you give us a bit of context as to who they are and the role they play in our industry?
Yes, so we went to Bucharest. When I say we, it wasn't just me there. It was also our head of comms, Dawn White. We went to meet our colleagues from both FIATA, the organisation that we've been working with for a long time, and most of our members would be familiar with the acronyms.
Yeah.
And also SEEFF. SEEFF, South Eastern European Trade Association. So I could say that's a regional initiative, basically representing businesses and countries based in that corner of Europe. So obviously Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, and so on and so forth, basically. So, and they're very much that sort of touch point between Europe and Asia. So quite important actually today when you think about what we do and transport corridors and so on and so forth. So a good point to be, or a good place to be at this time in particular, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the objective of this Congress in Romania?
Most importantly, to bring people together and talk about what their concerns are, what's on their mind. Just like really, when you think about it, just like any Congress, bringing people together to talk about what's important today, what's important in the future, and what our key concerns are. But I think most of the topics discussed there were actually universal, and you can tell that we as an industry are very united in many ways.
Yeah.
It is a cross-border trade.
Sure. Was there anything discussed that our members in particular should be aware of?
I think digitalisation of trade documents, that's really important because it's a difficult topic in many ways. We've been talking about it for a long, long time. And we know that this process is gaining pace, but it's never as we sort of think it would happen. It just gradually sort of creeps into what we do, into our daily routines. But digitalisation of trade documents is definitely high on the agenda. AI, we're all trying to understand what AI will mean for us over a mid-long-term period to see how we can prepare for that, whether we can prepare for that, how we should embrace it, what we should do. And again, I've said that before, but freight crime is definitely high on the agenda, and there was a couple of panels at least that touched on that. And this is something that we do as well. Back home, in many ways, we see, and members would have seen, a lot of activities from us, BIFA and other organisations, working in a wider sort of sphere. So yeah, I'm afraid freight crime is quite high on everybody's agenda today. So
yeah. And overall, what was your biggest takeaway from the event?
Just like any of those international events, in many ways, is you go there and you see that we all think, worry, and try to tackle what's really universally relevant today, which basically means we have to work with our partners in other countries. Whatever happens here will have some effect on whatever's happening there, and whatever's happening in other markets will have an automatic sort of direct impact on what we do, and there's never sort of we never work in silos. Well, I know we often say that, but the truth is we have to work with international partners, and I think that's the really key takeaway from that. We have to be involved with our colleagues elsewhere, whether it's Southeastern Europe, Asia, or anywhere else, because you will find that we have very similar concerns, and we have to work together to build sort of resilient supply chains and networks. So a bit of a cliche, I could say, but like I'm saying, these events sort of really tell you that that's what it is.
And of course, Pawel, some of the topics that were discussed last week in Bucharest will be covered off in this year's national conference.
Certainly so. We will talk about digitalisation, we will talk about AI, we will unfortunately talk about freight crime, and so it's very important that we actually address these topics in what is otherwise a national event for our industry, and we'll have some interesting speakers, and their names will be released over time. We already have most of them confirmed, so members will know who's talking. And amongst those interesting speakers, we'll have the representatives from a number of government departments as well. And so obviously we'll need to show that these are the key topics for us so that the government can hear us. So it's important that we go there, we show that sort of strength of our industry and in numbers.
Absolutely. Pawel, thank you so much for your update this morning, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Nat.
Further information around this event, but also our national conference, can be found online. I'll pop some useful links for you in the description below. That's all for today's episode of BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information.